Good morning, everybody. It's about 9:15 in the morning on Wednesday, November 6th. It is the day after the USA elections, and I wanted to come on here and just talk about a few things that needed to be said. So the first, uh, the first thing I want to say is that if you're looking at the screen, you'll see that in the bottom right-hand corner it says Friday reading. Obviously, it's not a Friday reading considering it's Wednesday. So just ignore that. Second thing I want to do is make sure that everybody can hear me okay and that audio levels are nice and clear. Next thing I want to say too is that I am actually live on YouTube because I feel comfortable sharing this on YouTube. So let me just do a quick tweet here and let anybody who is interested come join me. I know that there are some disillusioned people out there right now, but not in the way that you might think. And I wanted to kind of address that. First of all, as you know, JP and I on this platform, we don't engage in the voting process. We believe that the voting process is a mechanism to continue your own oppression. So we don't engage in that. A lot of people don't agree with that, but that's okay. We don't judge people for voting. It's part of the American experience, and we live in this country, and so we have to recognize, we have to recognize where we live, and that's that. So let me pull up one page that I lost, and I want to pull it up again because I'm going to be sharing some screens with you. And I want to just, I don't know, this might seem a little nuanced and even a little complicated, but the first thing I want to do is talk to you about the Democratic elites that live on the coastal regions. Not all of them are as awful and out of touch and privileged as you might think. They are really into making sure that the environment is safe. They are very concerned about things like lithium mines. They're very concerned about the toxic outcome as a result of the building out of those lithium mines. And so if you recall, I shared a Substack piece last week. Trump and Biden worked together to destroy the planet. And then I outlined, all the places that I found, and there are many more states and many more counties and communities that are going to be building out lithium mines. We can expect, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating this, but I feel like I've been saying this over and over again, and I feel like it's important to remind people, especially today. We can expect that within 2 to 3 years, if these, projects, these battery plants and these lithium mines are actually going to happen, then we can expect that in about 2 to 3 years, there will be a great shift in our way of life. This is huge. And there are Democrats that I know and that I'm friends with, or that I at least was friends with at one point, that are very much against this. They're very aware of the dangers and the toxic outcome of building out these mines and building up these battery plants. There is a strong contingent of Democrats that if they understood or were aware that the funding stream that was coming through the CHIPS Act under the Biden administration, they would have fought it, and they may have been able to hold it back a bit because they do have that much influence and that much clout. Okay, so this is the piece that I shared last week. So I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. All right, so there it is. If you guys want to grab it and read it, it's been getting a lot of play, so that's good. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is some of the strange messaging that I saw from one person in particular. And this one person represents sort of, I'm going to just use her as the representation for all Trump supporters. And I'll go ahead and share that screen right now. Her name is Emerald Robinson. I don't know anything about her. I don't know her. I don't follow her, nothing like that. But look at what she said about Milwaukee. She said this morning at 4:30, how these people are up that early tweeting and stuff is beyond me, but she said that they just dumped the central count from Milwaukee at 5:30 and it went heavy for Kamala. But now Trump has 31,000 lead in Wisconsin. So she says the MSDNC has finally called it for Trump. So what I'm looking at is what really went on behind the scenes. And if you look at everything from the position of funding, if you look at everything in the position of where the economy is, then I want to show you a couple of headlines that I found back in September regarding Wisconsin and the build out of a planned lithium battery plant. If you read, I can't click on these two headlines that you're seeing here. The planned Portage battery plant is in limbo due to lack of funding. I can't click on it because it lives behind a paywall, but here it is again. The planned Portage battery plant is in limbo due to lack of funding. And then back in April, you'll see right here, it says that a company breaks ground on the new battery plant in Wisconsin. So in April, they were breaking ground on the battery plant. And then, so May, June, July, August, 4 months later, September of 2024, suddenly they had to halt the breaking ground, and they had to halt the building out of the battery plant. And this is, of course, for lithium batteries because of lack of funding. So if we head back over to this headline from Emerald, or this tweet from Miss Emerald. Let's see if this is it. Okay, sorry, wrong tweet. Let me just try this again. I'm going to share this tweet with you in a minute. Sorry, it's kind of early, so I'm a little. This is really off the cuff. I didn't plan on doing this today. Try it again. There's a couple of tweets I want to share with you. Okay, so here it is. So if we look back at this one where it says they just dumped the central count from Milwaukee. So this was kind of late coming in. So what happens when a county or a state is still maroon or purple, it means that there are deals being made in the background. This whole business with the Electoral College is, it's partly legit, but it's partly it's partly legit, but it's partly just a joke. And the reason I'm chuckling is because my old friend Lance from San Francisco tuned in. Hello, I'm so happy to hear from you. My goodness, we really have to catch up. So Hillary Cole is asking, it's a good question. It's a good question. What is the company in Washington State? I can walk to Fairhaven from my Bellingham house. All right. So I'm going to get to that. Before I do that, though, what I want to do is talk to you about why Emerald shared that screen about Wisconsin that you're looking at right now, and how that relates to the lack of funding in September. So sometime between September, when they had to halt the build out of this battery plant, and suddenly winning Trump for Wisconsin, which is 2 months. There's 2 months that went by. So, or at least a month, actually only a month went by, because it was the end of September that they realized they lost the funding, or they didn't have enough funding to build out this battery plant. In my opinion, and this is just strictly an opinion, in my opinion, the reason that it went to Trump is because somebody was making a deal with the Portage plant, battery plant in Wisconsin, that said, hey, look, go for Trump and we'll open up that funding stream and you can build out this battery plant. Let's do it. And suddenly it went to Trump. Okay. This isn't, you know, this isn't, some kind of secret. I think everybody kind of knows that before a, uh, state can fully transition into, handing over all the electoral colleges, there are some serious meetings taking place. And if you notice, if you look at this map of the United States, Nevada is maroon, which means it's turning red. If it was purple, it means it would be turning blue. But it's turning red, and that means that they're signing contracts right now to build out the biggest lithium mine in the country, in the state of Nevada. The only currently running lithium mine that we have in the United States of America is a very small lithium mine in Nevada. The Biden administration has unleashed billions of dollars. I want to say something around like $9 billion to expand that currently operating super tiny lithium mine and expand it and make it huge. The only way that will work is if the Trump administration and his team and all of those people that will benefit from the build out of the lithium mines. And these are all people that are invested in AI. These are all people that are invested in electric vehicles. The only way that Nevada can finally turn bright red is those contracts need to be signed. Those agreements and handshake deals need to be made. So Nevada is on its way there. And the next thing that you have is, if you notice, California is a bright blue. And this is where I want to bring back my my piece that I wrote, stack piece that I wrote, and I want to show you a part of it. I want to show you just a quick comment that I made in the piece. So if you look here where I say Nevada, the Biden administration provided, over $2 billion in funding to build out Thacker Pass, which would be the largest lithium mine in North America. Well, let's go down to California. So California, and then Hillary, I promise I'll get to you as well. California is interesting because you recently had Gavin Newsom flailing his arms like a crazy person, all super excited that Trump was going to take it, was going to, become the next president. Here's why Gavin Newsom is excited about that. Construction of the first large-scale direct lithium extraction plant in the U.S. began in January. So under Gavin Newsom's governorship of the state of California, he is in a race, or his backers, his administration, his shareholders, his investors, all the people that are invested in the California lithium mine production are in a race against Nevada. So what we have now are lithium wars going on. We've got the largest planned lithium plant in the United States happening in Nevada, which is going red, versus the largest planned lithium plant in California, which is already blue. This is why Gavin Newsom needed Trump to win so that in 4 years' time, he could come back and say, oh, yeah? Well, the state of California provided billions of dollars in jobs for AI and advanced technology, and I started it all under my governorship. I can bring about a stable economy for the country. I proved it with California. So what we have is a race to the finish to see who's going to get that lithium, who's going to have the best lithium mine in the country. Is it going to be Nevada? Is it going to be California? Let's go to Washington to address something that Hillary Cole asked. She lives in Bellingham, Washington. I don't think she would mind me saying that out loud. And this is very concerning. So in 2023, Bellingham, Washington celebrated their newest addition. It's a battery plant located in Fairhaven at the port of Bellingham. This is a key step in the expansion of Corvus Energy's U.S. operation. So I think, Hillary, you had asked me what is the name of the company that is building out the operations at the port of Bellingham. That's the name of the company is Corvus Energy. So prior to launching their plant in Bellingham, Corvus's only other operation was in Norway. So they had only had one presence. That company, Corvus Energy, had only had one presence in the world, and it was in Norway. Now they have two operations, one in Bellingham, Washington, and one in Norway. So, and this brings me to the conversation about agency, to the conversation about being able to talk to your friends who did vote Democrat, and who are, probably really scared right now, but they're scared for all the wrong reasons. This is why they should be scared. What I wrote right here, the build out of the mines. That's why they should be frightened. And there are a lot of really smart Democrats who understand that the build out of these toxic plants can be absolutely detrimental to human life and all wildlife and the planet. And so we've got a vast funding stream to get a lot of these red states that you see in this map right here. A lot of these red states are getting ready to move forward with production of lithium, the mining of lithium, or building out the battery plants. It's all very toxic. So I feel that when the Biden administration passed the CHIPS Act and began the funding stream for the build out of these lithium projects, that it was a great betrayal to his base. It was a terrible betrayal to the people who voted for him, thinking that he was going to really care about the environment. So one of the things you can do as a person who looks more at policy and the economy and where the funding stream is going is you can say, look, I'm just as concerned about this Trump presidency as you are. These under a Trump presidency, in about 2 to 3 years, we're going to see the build out of a bunch of mines, which are going to cause a great toxic reaction on the planet, and we all might be affected. If you're even downwind of this, you don't even have to be in the same county. Now, I don't want to scare people like Hillary. I don't want to freak you out. I'm certainly not, telling you to do anything crazy like move, but just to kind of wait and see. I think it just depends. Like maybe Corvus Energy has a way of, collecting whatever it is that they're collecting. Maybe their process is not as toxic as, say, what you might find in North Carolina. If you notice, North Carolina went red, which, much of North Carolina is under mud right now. So, I think that this is as much as I'm, really truly concerned about the lithium mines, I think it's a talking point that you can use to reach the people. I want to share with you another thing that Emerald Robinson tweeted. I think this is the one I was trying to tweet before. Okay, that's about Milwaukee. So we understand, just to reiterate, not to be a broken record here, but to reiterate, in September, Portage, what was the name of that company? Planned Portage, which was a battery plant. They had to stop building out the battery plant for lithium because they ran out of funding. And that was just 1 month ago. And suddenly they went red after they had gone heavy for Kamala. You see what I'm saying? Suddenly, out of nowhere, they went red. That's in between yesterday and today. The Trump administration, funders, backers, shareholders, pro lithium people descended upon the shareholders and the politicos in Wisconsin and said, we can make this plant open. Okay, a deal's a deal. Let's do this. And suddenly it went for Trump. So you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel that deals are being made in the background. Let's take a look at the other thing that she tweeted. All right, I keep choosing the wrong one. I'm sorry, guys. I've got a ton of screens open, so it's just like blah, blah, very confusing. All right, here she is. I don't know what happened today, but I can tell you. Now, this is key right here. No cybersecurity expert believes that the election was too big to rig. And no sane person would say we have fair elections. The Democrats cheated in 2020 and they cheated in 2022. I agree with this. They started to do it again today, but then something happened. Suddenly it switched. Okay, suddenly it went to Trump. And I think that rather than talk about cheating and all this stuff, let's talk about plans that are being made in the background to make these things happen, right? And that's where you have to begin the conversation if you have loved ones that are part of this, if they're having collective meltdowns over the fact that Trump, won. It looks like he's going to take, it, right? So I just wanted to show that to you. I wanted you to be aware that they're still in the process of building out these plants, these mines. In some cases, they haven't even broke ground yet. Okay, so this tells me that probably within the next couple of years, we're looking at a big change in our in the way that our life will be. It's hard for me to put into words. Okay, let's go back to when Trump was installed in 2016. Okay, it was kind of like the golden age for the first couple of years, right? And then by the time the fall of 2019 rolled around, things started to get put into motion, so that by the spring of 2020, we lost all of our civil liberties and our constitutional protections, and it no longer was a constitutional republic, but it became fascism, which is the corporate state and the private sector working together at the expense of the people. So at the expense of your constitutional protections, at the expense of your health, at the expense of your economic stability, at the expense of your well-being, the corporate state and the private sector were funded and fattened up while the rest of us were left really struggling, whether it was struggling emotionally or struggling financially, or struggling because of our health, because of the toxins that were unleashed on us. So you have to recall that this happened under a Trump presidency. One of the worst things that could possibly happen to you as an individual living in a constitutional republic. You lost everything with that presidency. So now we're going into phase 2, and there will be many more phases to come, I'm sure, which is that in a couple of years, if what they're telling us is true, and again, I shared it on that Substack piece, this is all information that I sourced from like financial reports and information, just generic information that's out there for anybody. That's why I tell you, if you, wherever you're living, just go to a browser, or go to a search engine, whichever one you use, whether it's Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever, it doesn't matter, and just type in your county or your state, and then just type in lithium mines or lithium mine funding or lithium mine build out or lithium battery plants, and you'll get some pretty concise hits, which will tell you exactly what's going on. The thing is they're not being cagey about this. They're being really honest about it. So it's going to take time for these plants to be built out. So, for instance, the one in North Carolina, which is run by Albemarle and Piedmont Lithium, I believe, the plan is to be up and running and producing lithium by 2027. Well, that's just 2 years from now, or, 2.5 years from now. So you have to look at it. This is why I named this Fool Me Once, Shame on You. And then, of course, the rest, which is fool me twice, shame on me. There's no excuse. You kind of get a pass with the COVID operation and the suspension of your constitutional protections, the suspension of your agency. I want to talk about agency next. And the suspension of your financial stability, your health, and all of that. You kind of get a pass because it was done so secretively. And nobody for 1 second in 2018 or 2019, nobody for 1 second would believe that the United States military and the United States government would turn on its own people like this, but they did. So now what they're doing is they are inverting environmental protection. So there is a trending story that everyone's really excited about. And the EPA has come out with it, and it's taking the world by storm, and it's about fluoride, and I'm sure you've heard of it. And there are many people who are on the right side of history that are celebrating the EPA's report that stated that fluoride. All right, let me know if you guys, if I'm still if I'm still broadcasting because suddenly everything froze. So let me just continue talking. Everyone is really celebrating because the EPA came out and said that fluoride was dangerous and it posed enough of a risk to merit the it posed enough of a risk to merit a new report and to look into the risk of fluoride. The dental association, by the way, is going absolutely batshit and banana cakes over this because uh, the dental association or the dental industry has always promoted fluoride. In fact, just the other day, I went to my local dentist just to get a follow-up checkup to make sure everything was fine. And he was like, don't forget to brush with fluoride and make sure you rinse your mouth with fluoride. Okay. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. But um, the point is that suddenly you've got the EPA coming out and saying this. So, people have been complaining about fluoride in the water since what, the 1950s? For, my entire life. So why now? Why now? Why now? 5 minutes before Trump is elected, or wins the electoral college. He won't be sworn in until January, but why now? And it's because what we're about ready to get in a couple of years is something that the EPA has its hands tied up right now. They can't do anything about it. So somebody went to the EPA. All right, probably some Silicon Valley investor, shareholder group of men with contracts and suitcases and really intimidating men went to the EPA and said, "Okay, go ahead and write your little report about how fluoride is poses enough risk to merit new action from you, and go ahead and get tied up with that. And let's just go ahead and give the silly people a little bit of a win, because you know what's coming next is going to make this fluoride in the water look like, you know, the cleanest water ever." Because the lithium mines and the lithium plants and anything having to do with the manufacturing and storage of lithium is just going to, you can't even live near it, let alone drink water, let alone plant on soil, let alone live in a house downstream from it or just even miles away from it. So the EPA's hands they will be tied regarding the environmental disaster that lithium mines and lithium build out will cause. So they put this out here to distract the people and and ameliorate the people and make them feel like this was a win. This wasn't I mean, sure, it's a win, but again, we're looking at, 2-3 years from now. You have to look when somebody is installed or when somebody wins the electoral college, you have to look at what's going to happen a couple of years from now. And all of those states that I listed in that Substack piece, they all have a 2027, 2028 time frame for when they're going to build out lithium plants, or they're going to do more fracking to extract lithium from the wastewater, or like in Hillary Cole's case, just down the street from her in Bellingham, Washington, they're going to build a plant that has to do with marine life. So there will be no stone unturned. There will be no area that is not considered for the extraction of lithium in the United States. And they're going to do whatever it takes to pull it out, whether it's mining, fracking, building housing facilities in order to store and house the lithium. All of this has been really amped up. All of this has been really aggressively covered and there has been such a huge expansion of this idea of mining the United States for lithium. So let's take a look at what happened that, mainstream isn't even covering. So this happened a while ago, but USA Today covered it 5 days ago. So in the state of Missouri, they have some lithium plants, but they had one in particular. It was their largest lithium plant in the state of Missouri. There it is. I don't know if you guys can. There it is. The dramatic video shows the explosion at a large battery recycling plant in Missouri. The 225,000 square foot plant is used to recycle lithium ion battery related materials, one of the largest processing facilities in the world. Obviously, we're dealing with ads, but there it is. There's the explosion of the lithium plant. We all know that Teslas have a tendency to explode because of the lithium batteries. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there are Democrats out there that are absolutely against Elon Musk. They're against Peter Thiel, who has vast connections and practically rules the world. There are lots of Democrats out there that are against these sort of Silicon Valley tech bro types that want to create, AI for the world. There are lots of Democrats just like you that want to continue life the way that it should be lived, which is, through our human experiences. So it was a great betrayal from the Biden administration to pass funding legislation or the CHIPS Act in order to fund the AI revolution, which is absolutely an anti-life project, basically. So let's show this again, just to be clear about this. Another state that you are seeing that is still maroon, which is eventually going to turn red, is the state of Michigan. Now, look at what I wrote about the state of Michigan in that Substack piece. This is what is really telling. This should really give it away, okay? So you see that the state of Michigan still hasn't turned yet. That means that there are backdoor deals being made. They are working on contracts, signing contracts, making deals. And here's why. Okay, remember this? Trump and Biden work together to destroy the planet. Here's North Carolina, Nevada, Arkansas, Michigan. Look, although Michigan currently doesn't have any lithium mines in operation, that's key right there. There are no lithium mines currently in operation in Michigan. So I took the liberty, JP and I took the liberty, and when we were discussing me writing this piece, one of the things that he brought up was they're probably going to take the old abandoned automotive plants, which may be used to create battery plants for lithium, because the infrastructure is already there. They don't have to build out battery plants. Right now, they're building out a battery plant quite a few hours away from where I live in the state of Mississippi. But they don't have to do that in Michigan because of all of those abandoned automotive plants that can be just, the infrastructure is already there. They can just be turned into battery plants for lithium. So in September of 2024, again, there's that September 2024 date. That was just a month ago. Okay, remember how I said that Portage the Portage plant in, sorry, I can't even remember my own Portage plant in, come on, someone help me here. Losing funding. Wisconsin. Okay. Remember how I said Wisconsin in September of 2024 had announced that they lost the funding and they couldn't continue with the build out of the Portage lithium battery plant. It's called Portage plant. I just said that. Well, that happened in September of 2024. So again, we have in September of 2024, for the state of Michigan, the U.S. Energy Department awarded $355 million in federal funding to 4 Michigan projects to boost domestic lithium battery production. These are the 4 counties: Genesee, Muskegon, Marquette, and Wayne. Okay, so the reason we have this right here, all right, the reason we have Michigan right here, which is still maroon, it hasn't quite become bright red yet, is because they're still working on the backdoor deals. Let me refresh this screen. Maybe they've turned by now. Nope, not yet. They're still, because my screen is not black in the background, it's showing up as pink, which is the same as if I had a black background, it would be maroon. Okay. Wisconsin already turned. They made their deal. You want your funding for this battery plant? Fine. Make sure you go to Trump and we'll get you your funding. Boom. They turned red. You see what I'm saying? Michigan is still working on contracts, no doubt, for those 4 counties I mentioned in that Substack piece. Same is happening with Arizona and with Nevada. Now, Alaska, I imagine there's tons of lithium in Alaska. Okay. But Nevada is key because Nevada is where the plan is for the largest lithium plant in the United States. All of, and even the one in, there was one that was running, it stopped running. So the only lithium plant that is actually in operation is Nevada. Now this whole country is basically open season for breaking ground for either the storage of, or the mining of, or the transportation of lithium. And I showed you what happened in Missouri. I showed you that explosion. So that plant is no longer in operation, obviously. I hope that this has provided some context to the election. We're not happy with any of it. We're not happy with Trump. We're not happy with Harris. We're not happy with any of it, you know? So I know a lot of people are really excited that Trump won, and our neighbors, you know, are very excited. We have neighbors all over the place that love Trump. And so we just have to make sure that we treat everybody with respect and maintain our own agency regarding this outcome. That's really what's important here, is because we lost our constitutional protections, and we lost our right to be healthy under the Trump administration when he announced the national emergency on March 13th of 2020. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. We should have learned already. So within a couple of years' time, I imagine that our quality of life, if this is allowed to go through, if this is allowed to move forward full steam ahead, that our quality of life will really be affected. There will be people that will have to move. Robert says that in his opinion, Trump provides entertainment and that's it. Absolutely. He needs to provide the entertainment to distract the concerned Democrats who are concerned that they're going to lose their, women's rights, or that he's a racist, or whatever it is they think that he is. He's out there doing the show to distract them from these really disastrous, toxic plans to build out these lithium mines and these lithium battery plants. Because I guarantee you, if half of the whinging Democrats right now who are so afraid that he's going to go attack their gay friends or whatever, or deport immigrants or whatever, all those people that are so afraid of that, if they knew what was really going on, then they would actually come on to the side of a lot of conservatives who are also very concerned about these lithium plants and what they represent to the future of our country, the future of our land, the future of our bodies, health, and all that. So it's hard to get past that entertainment that Robert just talked about, So there's a couple of other things that are kind of weird about the administration. You see more of Elon Musk than you see of JD Vance, whereas JD Vance is basically Peter Thiel in a JD Vance suit, which means that Peter Thiel, who has his connections to basically everything and is sort of it's where everything begins, that we should really be focusing on, but nobody's. So I think that, to be honest with you, I think Elon Musk is also equally entertaining. He is out there to act as cover for Peter Thiel and JD Vance. These are the people I think, and they have all the right individuals in place that are working behind the scenes to cut those deals for the expansion of lithium mines and the battery plants. I recently shared something that I captured. So let me see if I can share it here. This is kind of a cool little diagram, a motion diagram for the beginning of Peter Thiel. Connection again too is really bad, so it might take a minute for the for it to come up. So here we go. Let's go back to the beginning, and I'll see if I can slow it down a little bit. So we start with Peter Thiel. We move on to, there's Peter Thiel, PayPal, of course, In-Q-Tel, and then In-Q-Tel is the CIA, and then that's connected to mass surveillance, and then the Founders Fund, Carbine. Look, there's Vivek Ramaswamy, who's got a great interest in like mRNA technology, Bill Ackman, David Sabatini. These are all individuals. Everything that I'm showing you here, I believe, was made by a Democrat. I didn't make this. This video that you're seeing, this is what I'm telling you, is that there are lots of Democrats out there that are against the people who are actually funding and running the Trump show. Look, Palantir. All right, and here we go. Peter Thiel, I've always said it. JD Vance is Peter Thiel in a JD Vance suit. Peter Thiel rules the world. Look at this. Look at all these connections. Okay. Margaret Thatcher. I mean, it just so, and he's one of the most deplorable and scary human beings that you could ever meet. There are stories of people, Democrats, tech bros, who are part of the, the Silicon Valley boom industry that have talked about how they are in the same room as Peter Thiel and like the air goes cold. Peter Thiel, had a partner that mysteriously like was murdered. This poor kid, he was, in this relationship with this kid, and maybe the kid wanted money or something, and next thing you know, he ended up dead. Like Peter Thiel is like a soulless person. I mean, here he is all the way over here. See where my cursor is? That's him here. It starts there. And look at this vast connection, this vast empire that he's created. And he single-handedly funded J.D. Vance, who is Trump's running mate. We're talking about one of the most like malicious people on the planet that is behind the Trump campaign. There are plenty of Democrats out there that are just as concerned about this as you are and as I am. So that's where you begin your conversation. You take back your agency and you listen to the concerns of your Democrat friends who talk about how scared they are of this giant red wave that they're seeing across the planet or across the country. And you explain that each and every one of those states, including the blue states, are open season for some of the most toxic, life-changing, life-altering processes or plans that you could ever experience. And that's the lithium mining and the build out of the lithium storage plants, the battery plants. So that's where you begin your conversation. That's where you take back your agency, and it starts with your voice. I hate to sound all cheesy and get on my soapbox, but it literally starts with, if you're out walking your dog and having a conversation, I encourage Hillary to walk over to, the port where where Corvus Energy is going to be building out this plant in Fairhaven, and just poke around and just walk around and take a picture and say, apparently this is where, it's going to be. You have agency. It was legally stripped from you on March 13th of 2020 when Trump announced the national emergency. But philosophically, it wasn't. You don't have to give up your agency to either one of these people. On this screen. You know that. What else? Let's see. I think that's it. So just to recap, we know that the states that are pink, or if you were looking at it on a black screen, they would be maroon. They're right now they're in the middle of signing contracts, and they will be going red soon. Especially the state of Nevada. Okay. When I saw that Nevada had not been called yet last night, and that it was maroon for so long, or pink, I realized that it had to do with the expansion of the existing mine that's there now. It is the catalyst for the production of lithium, because it's going to start there. It's going to start with the mine that's already in production. They're going to expand on it. They're going to make it bigger and, create a larger footprint in that geographic region. And then boom, once that happens, then every other county and every other state in the country is going to follow suit. And within 2 to 3 years' time, all of these lithium mines and battery plants may be up and running and at full capacity. And all of this, of course, is to push back against the fact that China holds the market on lithium production and distribution. Okay. We want to beat China in the lithium race. That's what's happening. So that's the goal. And so when Trump comes out and says, I'm going to create more jobs, those are the jobs he's talking about. Toxic jobs where, you only have about 50 to 100, maybe 200 people working at these lithium plants and these facilities, these mining facilities, these fracking facilities, it's not like tens of thousands or 500,000 jobs will be made because of this. No, it's only going to be a few hundred here and there across the states. That's not enough. But he's boasting that he's going to create jobs out of this. So I'm just inserting, unfortunately, the sad voice of reason. That's why the picture of the captured image that I chose for today's Wednesday's broadcast is Wednesday's child is full of woe. I was born on a Wednesday. What can I say? I'm full of woe, and I'm like, hey, whoa, stop the presses. You guys need to know what's really going on. This, even according to one of his most die-hard supporters, Emerald Robinson, she is a MAGA Trumper all the way. Even she is saying, why was it rigged in Trump's favor? I mean, that's the takeaway from the tweets I read. Michigan was going to Kamala. Michigan was going to Harris. Not Michigan, Wisconsin was going to Harris. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it went to Trump. And that's because those deals were made. That little plant that lost its funding, a deal was made for the funding stream to open up. Hey, look, if I'm president, I'm going to open up this funding stream. I'm going to allocate funding because Joe Biden already paved the way for him to do it. That's why I said Trump and Biden worked together to destroy the planet. See? They worked together. So you had to have the Biden administration sign off on all of opening up the funding streams and his administration formulated and created the CHIPS Act, which is the support of AI, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles. None of that can happen without lithium. So the CHIP Act is in full force. Biden starts scratching off the checks, opening up the funding stream. Trump slides in with Peter Thiel behind him, who is all about artificial intelligence. Elon Musk, who is all about electric vehicles and all the AI shit as well. They're there pumping up Trump's campaign and making deals with people behind the scene so that they can finally get going on this. They've waited long enough. And the holdouts right now are the state of Michigan, who currently has no lithium mines in existence. Nevada, which has the only one running, but they want to expand on it and make it the largest lithium mine in the country. And of course, Arizona is always a problem child, right? So that's what's going on. I don't know how many times I can say it the same way over and over again. I think you guys got the point. Any questions? Anything else you guys want to say? I really, really appreciate you tuning in. Definitely keep your eye on when these states turn. I don't look at it as they finally counted all the ballots. It's nothing like that. It's contracts are being made. All you have to do is look at where they were a month ago, which was in September of 2024. Some of them were grumbling about losing funding for the build out of lithium plants and lithium mines. Some of them started to break ground, and then boom, all of a sudden they turned red. So, yeah, it's not a pretty picture, but I'm trying to get out ahead of it so that in 2 years' time, people will say, wait, what was that broadcast the day after the election that talked about the build out of lithium mines? Because all of a sudden, everyone in my family has been diagnosed with cancer and I don't know why. Just something, anything for someone to go back to and source and say, I think that this person may have been onto something. And of course, I'm talking me. A lot of it's speculation. I have a whole other speculation about the build out of these plants and mines, and it has to do with the fact that just because funding streams are allocated to build out these plants, which will produce and mine for and distribute lithium, which makes AI go, doesn't necessarily mean that that is going to happen. So before I end, I want to leave you with the picture that we had with the COVID operation, where lots and lots of money, a funding stream was opened up to build out like temporary hospitals and temporary medical facilities. And then people, citizen journalists, or people with their, camera phone were actually going to these locations and finding that there was no there, that there was just a bunch of empty beds with nothing. And so what happened was it was like a Potemkin village, a fake city, a fake emergency was created in order to provide a funding stream for the fake build out of fake medical emergency kits, hospitals, stations, whatever. It was a scam for people to make money from the government. Okay? Just a scam. That's it. So I'm also saying, that this funding stream from the CHIPS Act, which is allocating this entire country towards the build out of lithium mines and lithium battery plants and lithium production, could also be a Potemkin village. And if you don't know what that term means, it refers to, I think it refers to when like Marie Antoinette like commissioned like architects and artists to build out a city that was literally just like a little doll, like a dollhouse for her, and it was all fake, so that when the people drove through, or with their carriages, that they would see like a fake village, that there was no there, but that they would think that there was a real thing happening. So that's why the term Potemkin village is often used when you're dealing with like nonprofits, or you're dealing with, questionable funding streams, or, people say this is a Potemkin village. There's no there. Black Lives Matter is a Potemkin village. There's no there. No oppressed Black individual who is rotting away in prison benefited from Black Lives Matter. It's a Potemkin village. It's a funding stream to create an illusion of change. And so I'm also saying that there is a possibility that what Biden passed through the CHIPS Act, which I talk about here, Trump and Biden worked together to destroy the planet, to build out lithium mines and battery plants, that it could also be something kind of fake. The only difference, the only reason that I think that it's real, is because you've got somebody like Peter Thiel who's behind it. Don't worry about Elon Musk. Elon Musk has no power. He's just an actor. He's not a fucking billionaire. He's not the richest man in the world. The person that you need to be afraid of and concerned about and talk about is Peter Thiel. He's the one that's got all the connections. And so that's the only reason that's keeping me from thinking that this could be a fake funding stream, just like it was with COVID. This could actually be real, because Peter Thiel will murder a man in his own bed before he lets the truth get out. He is a horrible person. The air goes cold. These are the stories that are told. When you stand in the same room with Peter Thiel, the air goes cold, which is quite the opposite of the stories that people would tell about standing in the same room as Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was like just this innovative, caring, incredible talent. He was just this really amazing person. And what they've done to Apple, and how they've completely just, they ruined Apple. This was not the vision that Steve Jobs had for Apple. This what you're using now, whether it's your iPhone, your computers, whatever. It's not the vision that he really had for Apple. It was a completely different vision. It was more creative. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But that's the person who's behind this. And that's the only reason I think that this is probably a real thing, and that there really will be a fight to keep your communities from becoming so tainted with toxins. And, if you want to preserve your way of life, then you need to get ahead of this. You got to pass with the COVID operation. You couldn't get ahead of it. None of us could. Nobody had a clue that the United States would turn on its own people like this. But we kind of have an idea of what's going on with this lithium rollout. We know it. So now we can get ahead of it, and we can talk about it with our friends and our family members. And we can steer away from this idea, Trump bad, and we can stop using the term Trump derangement syndrome. I think we really need to focus on the true problem here, which is that our quality of life will greatly diminish in a couple of years' time, because of the build out of these lithium mines, which is what Trump is all about. That's the only reason that he was put in his position, so that the entire Silicon Valley shareholders and investments in AI industry and electric vehicle industry, the only reason that he is here right now is because they funded his campaign, because they sat him down and said, will you be our guy? Will you let us have an AI revolution? We will take care of duping the public. We will make sure that the public thinks of you as this, hero, and we will make sure that the public isn't aware of the truth. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of everything. And here's billions of dollars towards your presidential campaign, so that when you're president, we can start building out the AI revolution. Okay? Handshake deal, contract signed, whatever it takes. Next thing you know, you've got die-hard Democrats for Trump. You've got libertarians jumping into MAGA camps. You've got, health advocates like Downey Jr., or did I say Downey Jr.? I meant Kennedy Jr., suddenly talking MAHA, make America healthy again. Really? If you wanted to make America healthy again, then you certainly would be focusing on the expansion of these lithium mines and battery plants, which are going to basically destroy human life as we know it. Right now, we have been one of the more, believe it or not, we've been one of the cleaner countries and cleaner regions on the planet because we don't have these lithium mines. Not anymore. So, yeah, if Kennedy Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was so concerned about health, then this would be he would be stumping on this all the way. He would be like, we can't do this. But see, that's not how it works, because these are the people that are funding Trump. So, all right, I think I made my point over and over again. Thanks for listening. And I will probably do a reading on Friday. So you'll see this little tag at the bottom again that says Friday reading. Have a great Wednesday. Try to keep your wits about you as we move through this process. Looks like, things still haven't turned all the way yet. So we'll see what happens. But obviously, Trump will be the one installed, and some people are really happy about that. And I understand this is part of the process, but I just want you to, where you are right now on November 6, 2024, I want you to imagine yourself 3 years from now in 2027, because that's the target date. So there's no excuse anymore not to protect yourself and your family from the potentiality of something very toxic that could really harm you. All right. So if you just started listening, go back to the beginning and listen to this. And I will see you guys on Friday, and I'll be on camera. So, okay, looking forward to it. Bye.